Hi there, welcome to another edition of Freeworld Heads Up. It's the first one in a couple of weeks with both myself and Sanjoy back in the office, so quite a lot to cover this week. One of the big talking points in the currency was, of course, the flash crash.
Yeah, the flash
in
crash.
early October. How did that go, Sanjoy?
Well, I'd been in India about a week and still suffering from jet lag. So I actually woke up at must have been about 5 o'clock local time, and looked at my watch, my phone rather, and it said the pound was worth 116, I think. And being in that sort of jet-lagged frame of mind, it was quite a surreal sort of feeling. A nightmare.
Yeah.
But that's how I came to be aware of it. What actually happened? Well, we don't know. Nobody seems to know really. They said it was some algorithm which read some French speech and this kind of stuff. But I think that was just like off the cuff maybes. I don't think anybody actually does know what crashed it, but it's an interesting thing because at this point it's first you could regard it as an extreme stress test of what the pound actually is worth in the worst possible situation, and that's probably maybe about 117 or something like this, because it went straight back up to 121. So let's say 120 or something maybe is the bottom. I don't know. There's a lot of sort of post event analysis of the whole thing, and the one that struck me as the most accurate is people saying basically that at this point most currencies move on data, on economic data, and somebody makes an announcement, some figure comes out, etc., etc. When now with the pound it's moving on political statements, and we just had the Conservative Party conference in which some extremely savage hard Brexit things were mentioned, and you could really see this as a supersedence of political aims and objectives like anti-immigration. That's a tough one for me to swallow because I am in fact an immigrant, and also sovereignty, basically, sort of the right of Britain to be able to make particular rules about migration mainly. So what we saw there was a sort of a shift from what's driving the movement of currencies in the pound. As I was in India, I also became aware of what a lot of people from the outside think, and they actually can't understand this basic thing, which is why we would cut off our nose to spite our faces, because the economic aims, which basically hinge around free trade in the EC, have become subservient to the political aims, which seem to be basically reducing immigration. If you read The Economist, for instance, it says banks now have to they can't get involved in too much speculation. This is probably the limit of speculation that we came to, and the fact that it came back quite quickly is quite healthy. So what they're feeling, this is just too good at sort of the view, what might happen in the next few months, how it's going to look, it's described, this economist is most likely that we're going to have long periods of relative calm with moments of pure blind panic. So that's probably, the flash crash itself was one of those moments.
The first moment of blind
panic. Yeah, that's right.
A sign of things to come.
Meanwhile, in this sort of Alice in Wonderland world that we've entered, we've got some fairly good news today, in that the lawyer who's acting for the government in a High Court case which is going on about whether, in fact, what is the status of the referendum, because we have parliamentary sovereignty. It's the Parliament which runs everything. So there's a case going on in the High Court about whether the Brexit terms would have to be ratified by Parliament. And today, a lawyer called James Eadie, who's representing Theresa May's government, said MPs would very probably have to ratify the new agreement in Parliament. Okay. And as a result of that, the pound's kind of picked itself up a good cent. It's close to 123. The euro, of course, is still lingering around 110, and the pound euro cross is 1.116, which is healthier than it has been. It has gone down to 1.0980, and probably from there the next step would have been parity. So hopefully we're kind of hitting the bottom of the exchange, but then of course, what do I know? So in the meantime, when I come back, I see that there's actually been quite a bit of spot demand. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I've been back just over a week now. I was travelling in Japan for a couple of weeks, and I saw the flash crash just towards the end of my holiday.
All right.
I was thinking, great, I'm going to come back to what's going to be a graveyard. But that wasn't the case at all. Very busy from the moment I got back. Lots of inquiries had come in the last couple of days of that week after the flash crash, and a lot of spot demand over sort of the last week and a couple of days as well. It seems to be still quite buoyant, the market. There seems to be very little stock actually in the UK on the back of maybe some higher prices on a lot of commodities.
Yeah, that's right. Very little spare stock, because I mean that's what you do when the situation becomes uncertain. You square off and hope for the best.
And of course, it's becoming more expensive now to hold stock as the price of each commodity has risen by.
That's right. Yeah,
10-15% or whatever it takes.
Yeah, like many other companies, our borrowings are in sterling and evaluated in sterling, and we need, for the same business, we need basically 20-25% more. So, that's how it goes. And we've got basically some one-liners from here for market reports. These will also appear on the website. So if I start off with the ones that I've got, almonds, the market's firm after the last shipping number, which was 41% up. Growers and packers seem pretty happy with their sold position. They're about 50% sold, and they're pretty much backing out the market, and they'll get on with processing and shipping the orders that they've got. Prices have really been moving in one direction only, and that's up. Buyers seem reasonably covered till January and February, and that's a lot more than a one-liner, I know. Walnuts, good crop on the way. New crop opened about 50 cents lower than where the current crop was trading, so sharp discontinuity. Market appears to be relatively stable now, with sellers reluctant to drop their prices. And Brazil nuts, very limited spot stock, as we've been saying. The factories are closing now. There's not, as far as I know, very little from any reasonable shipper in La Paz waiting to be shipped. So whilst demand might be tapering off, and most of our inquiries now for the middle part of next year, so is supply. Supply is pretty much kettled off. Nobody's interested in a wild, volatile market this time of year, but there isn't much stuff left.
So sticking with South America, prunes, as many people predicted, USA crops falling a bit short this year, so they're having to top up with Chilean material. This has kept pricing relatively buoyant for larger prunes. Not much availability left there. Smaller prunes are sort of 70-80s upwards. Still quite good availability on those, and pricing remained pretty stable. Flame raisins from Chile as well, not much availability left. We're talking maybe most shippers down to their last handful of containers. New crop, still too early to kind of tell where it's going to be, but hopefully the first shipments of that will be leaving Chile around February. So if you are looking to cover and have demand up to sort of February, March time, I would recommend booking as soon as possible to cover that. There's not a lot left there. Macadamia, yeah. So South Africa, very little available left. styles 1 and 2, the sort of two most popular size of macadamia, South Africa has completely sold out. We still have a little bit of availability left for Malawian material and Kenyan material, but if you're looking to cover anything up to new crop, which is sort of going to be from July onwards, I'd recommend covering that as soon as possible.
So that's first half of next year is definitely sorting out.
Particularly on styles 1 and 2, which are the most popular.
On Alex's stuff, well, sesame, it seems that there's some cheaper offer coming through now. We'll have the main Indian crops coming into play now. And it's probably, well, it's always a good time to buy sesame. Pumpkin, good yields on the new crop pumpkin. I've bought prices down for both GWS and Shine Skin. Again, these are crops which are planted every year, so when they have cheap prices, they plant more. So when they have high prices, they plant more. So when they get cheap prices, maybe people will be looking at other stuff. So if you need long-term cover on pumpkin, might be a good time. Sunflower also, we feel this is pretty much as low as it can go from Bulgaria, from the Eastern European sources. Sultanas, well, fairly steady, but still, not going down. $1,400 roughly. Currants, we've seen some rain during the drying period. This has now become quite a small crop, and the prices have gone up quite considerably. We will have some currants from South Africa to offer for the back part of November onwards. And goji?
Yeah, so goji from China looks like, so the market's relatively stable at the moment. We saw some high domestic demand at the start of the crop for the sort of first pickings, the good quality large goji berries. Some cheap offers around for smaller, less quality goji berries, but at the moment we're seeing a relatively stable market. Apple, new crop expects to be relatively small. We're seeing prices maybe start to rise there too. Cherries and blueberries from the US, both have been relatively good crops. We're seeing relatively stable pricing, maybe some slight issues in the back of Hurricane Matthew that we saw last week in the US. Speaking of that, pecans, a lot of mixed messages about US pecans. Hurricane Matthew seems to have had some effect on the Georgian crop, which is the first crop to come in.
Okay.
Crop it's definitely going to be larger than the 2015, but so far it's been revised down by about 10% from last week to this week. So still looking at a larger crop, but maybe not as good as we were originally hoping for.
Yeah, this item, pecans, has been very, very, very expensive, and we saw quite a bit of activity as I was leaving, and people not capitulating, but not waiting for a price decrease any longer.
No, it's certainly going to be high until January at the very earliest, until the new crop arrives. Coming out of Turkey, hazelnuts, we've seen a little bit of a drop in the prices. Farmers are bringing more to the market, maybe about 5 or 6% decrease from where we were at the end of September, start October. Seems to have hit a plateau again. Farmers turned the taps off supply Thursday, Friday, and not really opened up again. I think we've kind of hit the level that both buyers and sellers are more or less comfortable at covering. So looks like maybe some stability finally in the hazelnut market.
The other one that, like the pecans, is really trading at high prices is cashew. But even though these are very, very high prices, there won't be any relief really till the Vietnamese new crop, which is going to be won't be shipped before May. And if they're still selling at like the mid 450, 460, 470 a pound for W320s, they're not going to open the new crop cheap. I mean, nobody is going to do that. Well, it might slide off dramatically if there's a very good crop after that. But the thing is, though it's ludicrously high, there's no cashews till then. So. A brave man might short it. I'm no longer brave.
And apricots and figs. Figs have risen slightly in the last couple of weeks. Apricots remain quite stable. There's been a little bit of poor weather in Turkey towards the end of the drying period. which meant that the kind of slide in apricot pricing kind of stopped and has remained relatively stable. Figs last couple of weeks have moved up slightly, so advised to cover those now as well. It's good.
Okay, well, quite a lot of information for you just now, and we'll be putting all this onto the website just where you click to start this video, so you can catch up with it then.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.